Oh, hello, how's everyone doing today? Good evening. It's evening here in Portugal. So I'm going to say good evening to everyone and thank you for joining. My name is Kemi Vaughn and I work with Landing on the marketing team. I will be your moderator and your host for today. Before we go forward, I'd like to tell you that this event is an initiative of Landing.Jobs, and Landing.Jobs is a tech careers platform that connects job seekers to opportunities, or that connects tech professionals to opportunities across the globe. So just in case you're wondering who was organizing this and what they do, that is what we do. We're a tech careers platform. So I urge you to use the call to action button to go visit our site and some of the available opportunities that we have on our platform. Now that that's been said, today we are going to be talking about everything you need to know to master DevOps career and interview. So, in case you're a young IT professional, or you're a young engineer rather, who's just trying to get into the market and you're wondering, oh, how do I go about it? What do I need to do? This is what our experts today will be talking about. And if you're a senior engineer who just wants to change career paths, come into the DevOps scene, then of course, you are in the right place, because we have two professionals who are going to be telling you more about their journey, sharing their experiences, and also sharing tips on how to make that easy for you as well. Um, they're right there, right here with me, as you can see. I would hand over to them to introduce themselves shortly, but I would just like to give a few rules to enable the engagement grow further. So I would like to say that we have designed some questions in the poll section. It's just for us to get to know you better. We like to do this so that we understand our audience and we're able to design this type of events that meets your needs, and also to position our roles or the things that we do on our platform to meet your needs. So please look at the polls and fill the polls. Also, we are going to have a Q&A session right after the presentation from our speakers. So if you have any questions while the presentation is going on, please use the Ask a Question button to ask your questions. We'll be taking that right after the presentation. And then lastly, we have the call to action button. That's where we have the link that directs you to our careers page, where you see opportunities and the available roles that we have on our platform. So you can also do that right after this session. So, and again, don't forget, use the chat bots to connect with one another. We'd like to know where you're joining from. I see we have a lot of people from Nigeria, from Portugal, from Brazil, from the UK. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. Keep writing. Let us know where you're joining from. I'm from Nigeria, but I'm currently in Portugal now, so I'm joining from Portugal, and I'm sure our speakers as well will tell us where they're joining from shortly when they introduce themselves. It just helps us to get a feel of where our users are joining from. Thank you very much. Now I'll hand over to Timothy to introduce himself, and then of course Ferdinand.
Hey everyone, do you hear me well? Okay, thank you, Kemi. So, hi everyone, my name is Timothy, and I've been in IT in different organizations since 2006, and I've started doing DevOps in 2014, I think. So it's been quite a lot of time. And I've been working as both engineer and manager, and I've been leading teams of like from 5 people to 20 people for 5+ years already. And I hope I have something to tell you in terms of getting your first DevOps position, because I've interviewed, actually hired and trained, onboarded, mentored, I think more than hundreds of DevOps engineers of different seniority levels during my career. And I would like to thank all of you for joining. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timofey. Fadav, over to you.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. First of all, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Firdaus. I'm a senior software developer in Fortuals. It's a fintech startup based in London. Myself are positioned currently in our London-based headquarters. My career started when I was quite young age. I would say from the high school, I was interested in programming. So since that, it started to go up. In terms of professional experiences, I have quite extensive knowledge for software development cycle, as well as the DevOps processes. I hope that with our presentation today, me and Timofey can give you some kind of benefit knowledge so you can use it in your future careers. That's all from me.
Thank you so much. Thank you to you both for that extensive introduction. That's very, very good. I'm sure our audience can see that you do know what you're saying when you start to do the presentation because you've lived it. I mean, you have the experience to share with them. Now, because we don't have too much time, I would like us to quickly go into the presentations. And once that's done, then we can take the Q&A right afterwards. So the first presentation is, of course, from Timofey. So Timofey, I'll let you do the presentation. I'm going to turn off my camera now so that you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Cami. So let me share my screen, and could you guys let me know if you actually can see my screen presentation, right?
It's showing your browser now, Timothy.
Okay.
I think you need to show your. That's the one. Yeah, it's showing now.
Okay. Just a moment. I'll switch to full screen. Okay, guys. You already know me. I've already introduced myself. So let's jump in the presentation. All right. So first of all, why are we talking about DevOps here, and what is DevOps actually? So there are a lot of definitions of DevOps, like the one from Wikipedia and so on and so forth. Actually, lately I prefer the DevOps definition provided by Microsoft, which sounds like DevOps is the union of people, process, and technology to continually provide value to customers. And what I like about it is that it focuses on like three pillars, right? So the first one is people, the second one is process, and the third one is technology, obviously. And in this definition, I think the most important two pillars are people and processes. And each of those make around 80% of success, I would say, and technology, like different tools, make like 20%. So you can buy just all DevOps tools which are there in the world, but if you do not hire correct, like right people, and if you don't implement right processes, like right DevOps processes, you can become a DevOps organization, right? So why DevOps? Okay, so briefly, first of all, because DevOps provides better team collaboration, because there are no borders between teams like it used to be in the past. Next, DevOps teams usually have fewer deployment issues because they tend to deliver valuable code in shorter portions. Also, DevOps teams tend to have the code of more quality because there is constant testing in DevOps on every and each step of the deployment, and even before the deployment, in integration, and so on and so forth. So the next one is DevOps provides faster time to market because it has shorter delivery cycles, if compared to traditional means of delivery like waterfall. You can deliver like once a day, once an hour, and even more often if you are a DevOps organization. The last but not the least, I would say that DevOps provides more engineer happiness, and I think it's really important for people who work as DevOps engineers is that they see the result of their work more quickly because you deploy and you see the result like right away. You don't wait too much, and so I think DevOps engineers are happier like than usual, like regular engineers. Okay, let's switch to the next one, and let's talk about how you can start a career in DevOps. And basically, my advice to you is, first of all, you have to understand DevOps and know what it is. And you should know that it is a culture or a movement. And also, you should know what it is not. And DevOps is not a role, a particular role. And DevOps is not a set of tools, like I said before on the previous slide. Also, I would say you would have to develop your hard skills, and it depends on your background and on your technical background, what hard skills you have already. But I would say you would have to learn some scripting languages like Bash or Python, operating systems like Linux, maybe some cloud computing, maybe public clouds. You should know or learn virtualization and containerization and the differences between those technologies. Also, container orchestration, some version control system, automation for sure. This is very important in DevOps. CI/CD pipelines, which are continuous integration, continuous delivery, and infrastructure as code, which is a very trending technology now. Also, if you get certified, it might come in very handy during your interviews for various DevOps positions. And there are some great certificates. You can get certified in Python language, in Kubernetes, Jenkins, and in public clouds like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, and Google Cloud Platform. And there are lots of certificates for DevOps specialists out there. Also, you can contribute to the community. And what is meant here? Well, you can speak at public events like I do. You can write some blog posts, make some videos, podcasts, and participate in some open source projects. So contribute your code, right? And also, if I would say that this is the last but not the least, if you want to be a successful DevOps person, you should be ready to learn every day. And I mean, watching videos on YouTube and different educational platforms like Udemy or Cloud Guru. Also reading technical blogs and technical people, like-minded technical people on LinkedIn and different social networks like Facebook and so on and so forth. Okay, let's talk about the career paths in DevOps and how to switch to them from different technical fields. So first, I would like to talk about you getting into DevOps, right? And actually, there are many ways of getting into DevOps. It could be your first role in IT, or you can switch from non-IT field, or it can be your first job in your life. It can be so. And in this case, of course, you need to learn everything I mentioned on previous slides, obviously. If you come from operations or sysadmin or support background, by the way, I came to DevOps from support. This is my case. You will have to learn some Linux if you came from Windows world, of course. you will have to learn some modern software architecture like techniques or styles. So basically, this is how the modern application is built. So there are some web servers behind some load balancers, which talk to different databases, relational, non-relational, so on and so forth. You should learn all of that. And I would say that you will have to learn some agile processes and practices just to understand what the developers do. I would say high level. Okay, and if you come from the development background, I think you should learn Linux. If you don't know it already, you should know public clouds like Microsoft Azure, AWS, or GCP, and also CI/CD processes and tools as well. Okay, so let's continue speaking about DevOps and DevOps specializations to be more particular. So when a person comes into a DevOps world and gets his or her first DevOps position, they are usually titled like DevOps engineer. And a DevOps engineer is, I would say, someone who does more or less this or that, more or less everything DevOps related. And after working for like, I think a year or maybe a year and a half as a DevOps engineer, you can like advance your career and choose your specialization. And there are some specializations in DevOps world. First of all, you might want to become a release engineer. And in this case, you will be responsible for planning, executing, and controlling the software development and deployment process. So this is like project manager, actually, but like in DevOps world, DevOps related. And for this, you should know your CI/CD pipelines really well and tools as well, also scripting languages like Bash or Python, and maybe some Kanban, which is really helpful when it comes to planning your releases. You can also switch to automation and go deeper into automation. Automation is a very important aspect of DevOps, I would say. And in this case, you should learn a lot about your CI/CD processes and tools, tools like Maven, Jenkins, or Git, and configuration management tools like Ansible, Chief, or Puppet. Also, you might wish to become a testing engineer, right? And in DevOps, a testing engineer is a person who not only designs, writes test cases, but also it is a person who is very deep into automation and can automate test cases really well and knows the CI/CD pipelines and the product for sure to like have the code tested really often and really early to ensure the best quality of the final product for the customer in production environment. The next one is platform or infrastructure. So if you want to be a platform guy or girl, you should learn a lot about your infrastructure, right? Virtual infrastructure, like in private cloud, public cloud, hybrid, whatever. And basically, your like goal is to support infrastructure needs for different parts of your organization, like for development, testing, or sales teams. And for this role, you should know clouds, private clouds, public clouds, hybrid clouds, all kinds of clouds really well. Also, platform as service solutions, if we are speaking about public clouds, for example, Kubernetes as a service, or maybe some database as a service, as an example of a PaaS solution, and containers like technologies like Docker, for example. Okay, and the next one is site reliability engineering or site reliability engineer, aka SRE, which is kind of trendy nowadays. And basically, this role is about running and monitoring applications in the production environment, which are usually high load and should be highly available for the customers, all the time, 24/7, 5 nines, and so on and so forth. And you will be also responsible for ensuring and improving the reliability and availability of your applications. So you should really know a lot about the best practices of site reliability engineering for this position. Okay. The next one, the specialization, is really interesting for me. I think it's security. It's also called DevSecOps, and it's another very popular buzzword nowadays. DevSecOps is about security, right? And it's really important because nowadays data security, information security is a huge concern for everyone, especially if you deal with something like banking, finance, or maybe health or another personal data. And you should secure your product really well. And for this role, you should know a lot about the industry best practices and tools for like testing your product for security. And one of best practices is actually to shift left, which means to like implement security tests or some security best practices on early stages of the product development, not after the code has already been written. Okay, and I think the final one here is DevOps architect, which is a very senior role. It is a very experienced person with lots of knowledge about DevOps, and to be able to perform this role, he or she must know different DevOps methodologies, tools, and best practices, and also have vision, have some leadership skills, have some soft skills to be able to teach, mentor other people, like more junior engineers, and also to like make strategic decisions. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it from my side. We will have the questions session a bit later, I believe. But if you want to, you can screenshot this slide and reach me at my networks. So if you have something to ask me, please do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Timofey, for that beautiful presentation. I'm just trying to turn on my camera so that everybody can see me. I just want to add that we will be sharing, like the speakers' details, their LinkedIn profile, so that everyone can also connect with them on LinkedIn, and you can, engage or connect with them basically even after the session rather. Would have time for Q&A. We still have some time for that, about 15 minutes. So if you have questions, please use the Ask a Question button to ask your questions. That's just the first part of the session. I would now move over to Ferdev, who is also going to take us through the other part of the session, still on, all you need to know in starting your career, or, like upscaling your career as a DevOps engineer. So I would hand over to Ferdev now. Remember, if you have a question, please use the Ask a Question button so that we can all connect together during the panel session.
Thank you, Kemi, for handing it over to me. Can you see my screen now, guys?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So you might be wondering how long it takes to learn and become a DevOps engineer. Actually, DevOps learning needs a lot of constant commitments and desire to learn it. The DevOps will take from a few weeks, I would say, for quite senior developer, right, to several months or years for someone who doesn't have that much experience on the IT field. Learning is an ongoing cycle, as Timofey mentioned. You need to catch up with techs, what's going on the tech world, what kind of new concepts coming up. You need to explore everything, every subject daily. You need to make repetition, because if you don't repeat the subjects that you used to do in the past, you might forget it. And that's why it's quite. I need to stress it out that it's better to make technical challenges when you're starting your journey to move to DevOps. We should note that it's quite difficult to say exactly how long it would take. The figures which you're seeing in my presentation, they're a bit of how you call it, estimated, because it's based on the how person is a technical savvy. If the person is technical savvy and he's a quite experienced person, it might take a few months, I would say, let's say up to 4 months. But if you are switching your job, let's say from the system administrator, right, you know already most of the admining servers. You have already have a set of skills for setting up infrastructure, as well as configuring network and ensuring security. So this is one of the benefits of switching your job from system administrator to DevOps, because most of the stuff which you have done in the past, so-called manually or with manual scripts, you know the fundamentals of that already. The big part which is missing from moving from system administrator to DevOps, I would say, is they need to learn at least high level of software development cycle, such as how app is configured, testing, as well as version control, build tools for the specific applications, such as if you're working for Golang applications or JavaScript, you need to make sure that you understand how to build those applications. So in a few months, if the person is experienced and has an IT background, the person can switch to DevOps engineer field. But if you're someone who struggles to understand technologies, or you have not so-called heavy experience with it, it would take longer, obviously, to put more effort to study, because you need to catch up with software development cycle and learn all the tools which comes and the concepts of that tools behind. But it is doable, so still hope there. I would suggest if someone who is from non-IT field moving to DevOps, I would suggest them to start from software development cycle, because that way switching the job to DevOps becomes much more easier, because I wouldn't say that there's such role as junior DevOps engineer, because DevOps engineer in itself is quite extensive field, and you need to be professional in your to have IT background, software development, as well as understanding concepts, having knowledge of operations. That's why I would suggest if from our attendees, if someone from non-IT background trying to move to DevOps, for my personal experience, I would say if they start with something like a software development cycle and switch to DevOps, that would be much more easier and fun to them compared to someone who straight away jumps to DevOps. Because jumping straight away to DevOps, as Timofey mentioned, it takes a bit of time. You need to catch up with all the techs out there. The coming questions which we have mostly is about DevOps tools. One of the biggest mistakes which from my personal experience, I noticed that the junior developers does is they try to jump to hyped up so-called tools without understanding the concepts of that tools, right? For example, I divide the tools into two categories, concepts and the actual tools. Concepts are guidelines to how things should be done, right? Before learning the actual tools. Please, I should stress it out here, always try to understand the concepts before learning the actual tools. We need to learn concepts, for example, on the ones that I have diagram on the source code management. For example, we need to start understanding the concepts behind of source code management, what it is, right? What kind of challenges it solves. Then move on from left to right, because that wouldn't make sense to jump straight away to so-called to trendy infrastructure as a code tools if you don't understand all the concepts which comes before infrastructure as a code. You need to understand, for example, CI/CD, container orchestration, cloud providers, infrastructure as a code, then continuous monitoring, for example, right? Tools actually are there. There are lots of tools, I would say, for DevOps field, which is already implemented. So the good thing is you don't have to implement the same thing over and over again. The tools are there to actually solve those challenges or implement those concepts. I think when you see this diagram, you might be scared out, but I would say that you should not be scared because short answer, not really, because if you would like to learn some tool, please learn at least one tool from one of each rows. For example, from the build, from the build and testing columns, you might learn so-called, for example, Jenkins, Circle CI, GitHub Actions, right? And you don't have to know everything. You don't have to master every single tool, but you need to know at least one tool in order to so-called to make a build, right? Or test it, deploy it, run it, monitor your applications, how to manage it, how to notify your users or let's say employees if something goes wrong, right? You need to understand at least one of those tools to do day-to-day job. So as Timofey mentioned about operation system and the knowledge of Linux basics, you as DevOps engineer obviously responsible to prepare infrastructure to run the application. And most of the application are run on the Linux. And the term, sometimes you might be, for the beginning, let's say when you start your journey to DevOps, you might start to SSH to Linux servers, right? You need to know the shell commands, how to execute commands over the Linux. So this is quite, it's must to have the knowledge of Linux as well as the shell command. So this, going forward from my slide, it's a sequential. So let's say if you're a beginner, you will learn Linux and Linux operation system as well as basic terminal commands. And the next one, for example, Git source control management, because as you know that Git is a source control management. Most of the software developers who are in this webinar might know about it already. It helps us to create Git workflow with the help of CI/CD tools, as well as the versioning and the commit history can be seen with Git. So it's a must to have it for DevOps engineer to understand the Gits. Of course, you don't have to master every command of Git, but you need to know the basics at least to do the day-to-day job. Build and package managers, the next tool. When the feature or bug fixes are done by developers, we need to run those application in a test and package the application as an artifact, such as, for example, jar files, zip files, or binary files for so-called Golang applications, right? That's where the build tools and package manager tools come in. Some of the examples of package managers are NPM, for example, for JavaScript, as well as we have artifacts which must be saved somewhere, right? For example, the image repository, once the Docker image is built, we need to save it on Docker Hub, for example, right? The native one, which is from Docker. Or, for example, ECR, Amazon Elastic Container Registry. So you need to understand at least one of the image repositories to do day-to-day job. For build, containers are being adopted by more and more companies. As a new standard, every companies that nowadays are trying to move towards the containerization and container orchestration. So you must learn the concept of Docker. Containers become, as you know, new standard. You will be probably running your own applications on the container. This means you need to generally understand the concepts of virtualization and how the containers works. So for that one, there's already a tool known as Docker. So this is must to have it. Without that, I wouldn't imagine DevOps to do their jobs. Nowadays, as you know, everything is automated, everything shipped to the images, right? And you need to be ready and you need to have the knowledge of Docker. Build automation and CI/CD. In previous slides, we mentioned a lot about containers, right? Me and Timothy, we mentioned about them as well. Docker artifacts, repository. For sure, you don't want to add all of those artifacts or to build some image, for example, right, manually. Instead, what you have to do is you need to have a pipeline which does all of this sequential step by step. So you need to automate all of this with CI/CD, such as GitHub Actions, GitLab, Jenkins, which has obviously more I would say more common used tools. These ones, obviously, pipelines must be connected with the Git repository to get the actual development code. Changes from the code repository to continuously build, test, and merge to share the repository. This part is known on continuous integration. As you can see from here is on the CI part, the code gets pulled from our CI pipeline. It gets tested, it gets built, and it gets pushed to Docker images. Then on continuous delivery, what happens is that builds will get tested. That specific build will be tagged as let's say the version of the application, and it will be deployed. When it will be deployed, it will go straight away to our let's say, if we have quite different strategies for deploying it, right? For example, if you merge, if you have different branches, dev, stage, or prod, if you merge something on dev, it goes, the new version of our feature automatically will be available to the users who's on our development environment, right? Same goes to staging and the production environment. So container orchestration. Container orchestration application obviously will run somewhere, right? The containers which we have done with Docker. In order to manage all of those applications, such as application communicating between each other, containers communicating, for example, how many sets of application must be within the Kubernetes pods, right? All of these concepts you need to understand, and you have to learn the Kubernetes. Without this tool, it's quite challenging for DevOps to do their day-to-day job. So I should stress it out here that Kubernetes is a powerful tool, but also very complex. So do not give up easily on it. It takes time to learn it and master it. Obviously, you don't have to know every single concepts and the terminology of Kubernetes, but you will build up slowly, based on your experience, right? But again, if you want to become a DevOps engineer, you must know the Kubernetes. cloud and infrastructure as a service. Currently, from my experience, and you might probably know as well, most of the companies are using virtual infrastructure rather than creating their own physical servers on premises, right? Because it is much more, I would call, much more easier for them to manage, because everything is ready on the cloud, and you just need to know how to use those cloud providers. I would suggest that at least you know one of the cloud providers. It's based on your choice. For example, if you want to go ahead with AWS, Google, for example, right? You can do so, but at least you need to know one cloud provider. If you know one cloud provider, to switch to different provider would be easier because you understand the concepts already. It's only a matter of understanding the terminology, right? How to use syntaxes and so on. Infrastructure as a code. You might be wondering how we can manage all the processes of creating our infrastructure. In the past, in tradition, how they used to do it, right? I know that infrastructures, they don't change in one day like 100 times. It's our application change, right? Because on infrastructure, they don't change that much frequently. But the tools and the concept of infrastructure as a code came up. What it means is it's basically keeping your infrastructure inside of the code. For example, as a Terraform files right there, right? You can keep it as a code and keep it on the GitHub repository. And every state of your cloud infrastructure will be recorded, right? If compared to traditional way, right? In the traditional way, if some developer executed some, for example, initiated some server, right? You do not understand who done it, for example, right? And what state that server has it. But with infrastructure as a code, it makes it easier to follow up. For example, one of your fellow developer will make a PR to change some servers, right? Increase the number of servers in the cloud, and they make a PR. When you see that pull request, and once it gets merged, then that automatically gets applied to the cloud without any manual interruption. Everything will be done with the help of processes as on the process known as CI/CD, as earlier mentioned. The good thing about them, they know the state of cloud, so anything which you change, they have on the state, so you understand on which state your infrastructure was, as well as it's easy to replicate. For example, let's say you have the development environment, right? Later on, you are convinced that you are ready to go to production. How would you move your infrastructure from development environment to production? So this kind of question came up. Then the concept of infrastructure as a code helps us, because you code it once and you can replicate as much as you would like. You can have, for example, 10 replica of some infrastructure in parallel running on AWS, for example, Google Clouds, right? So it's you need to understand at least one of these tools. Maybe if you want to learn Terraform, is nice, but Pulumi is quite nice as well. In terms of Pulumi has a code base. It's code base in terms of you write as a pure code such as Golang code, right? Web programming, Golang programming, or Python. You can write it down to say, hey, I would like to get one server up. With that Golang code up, with that Golang code or Python, you can instantly initiate one server in the cloud without manually doing anything. And this process gets executed on CI/CD every time that you do something. So automation with programming. Obviously, when it comes to automation, you need to know the scripting languages, but scripting languages are quite restricted based on the operation system of the computers. For example, there is a Bash scripting language for Linux and Mac, and PowerShell for Windows. But what's more demanding, powerful, and flexible nowadays is to use languages such as Python or Golang to automate those things, rather than writing scripts with Bash or PowerShell, nowadays it's kind of became trend to use Golang or Python to make automation. I would say this one is a final one for the tools. It's a monitoring one. So-called for what it helps. Maybe from the name of monitoring, you know exactly what it does, but let me briefly tell you what it actually does. When you have thousands of containers and hundreds of the servers in the Kubernetes running, and there are lots of errors coming, there are logs, everything is everywhere, right, in Kubernetes. And how you would like to understand if something goes wrong? How do you understand if specific instance of cluster is running out of memory, or is quite high loaded that server? In that sense, the monitoring helps. There are already tools known as Prometheus, which will gather all the data, and with the help of Grafana, it gives possibility for us to see lots of different charts, graphs, basically visualization of everything which Prometheus gives us. Because Prometheus, the data which Prometheus gives us, the human beings, they won't be able to understand because they will lots of data. But with Grafana, it will make it more user friendly to visualize every log, errors, highlight, whatever you call it, they have it. So the last section of our webinar is interview questions. Obviously, the interview questions that I would like to discuss with you, they're not the basic ones based on the knowledge, because they're quite complex ones, which is quite out of scope of this webinar. That's why I wanted to keep it as simple and more fun to explain you how all of this works. For example, one of the questions that obviously you will get, guys, by this time you need to already know what's DevOps, as Timofey explained already what DevOps is and what they do. When you answer to this kind of questions, obviously your answer must be simple and straightforward to the point, right? Begin, for example, by explaining the growing importance of DevOps. Explains that DevOps is not only about the tools, but it's more of cultural thing, right? The good thing about DevOps is more of cultural thing, communicating development and operation sides, and explain how in the past they struggled when they had a development and operation team separately. Explains this terminology, explains these concepts, and you should be good to go. The following one, which are some of the most popular DevOps tools? As we already explored, before you tell the tools, obviously you need to say why they are popular, right? Tell them the concepts, tell them what challenges they solve. These tools which you tell that, do not just say out of your head, right? Tell them the reasons why you think it's powerful and popular. For example, all the evidences that we gave earlier, we explain the concepts, right? We explain the concepts and explain the challenges which those tools solves. So you need to explain that way and tell them, for example, hey, Terraform helps to make your infrastructure as a stateful, right? So explain the reasons. So next one, how is infrastructure as a code implementing using AWS? Obviously, it's linked with. Before you answer to this question, you need to understand the AWS, how they work, the services the AWS has. At least you need to know the services which AWS provided in order to do your job, right? There are lots of like thousands of services, but you need to know the specific ones, and explains that you use that specific service to put on the, for example, on the Pulumi or Terraform, right? And that way you can connect to AWS, and once your infrastructure is code, your Terraform files, or let's say Pulumi code, right, will get connected to AWS with AWS tokens or so-called. You can initiate you can initiate the servers. This one, actually, myself, I get asked a lot about this one when I will interview for DevOps position or so-called for software development position, right? What's canary deployment and how you can do it with Kubernetes? Before answering this question, you need to understand what actually is canary deployment. Canary deployment is a set of features, is a new features which will be released on the which will be released in the cloud, and the version will be canary version, and they will be stable version. With canary, the beauty of canary deployment is that you can specify specific percentage of your requests, API requests to come to canary deployment. For example, you have shiny feature which you have just done it, but you don't want to release to 100% of your users. What you do sequentially. You forwarded your API calls 20% to canary deployment. The 80 will be on the stable version. When you monitor it, then you see the logs from Prometheus, Grafana. You check them, you see the logs. If your feature which you have done it is a bug free and everything is fine, then the next stage will be 40%, 60, 80, 100. When the canary version will go to 100, then the canary version will be switched to the stable. The stable version will be our canary version now. So that way, it will help us to scale up the new features without affecting 100% of our users. As well as the beauty of it is that you can make a live testing with it. For example, with the help of Nginx, Ingress, as well as Istio service meshes, you can check up the headers of the request. For example, if the header is QI tester equal to QI tester, then you definitely know that it's your internal QI tester with a username, specific username of QI tester. That QI testers, all the 100% of the API calls which is coming from QI testers will be landed on the canary version rather than stable one which is on production, right? So that's the concept behind it, and the tools which will help to implement canary deployment is, as I mentioned, Nginx Ingress controller and the Istio service mesh. But if you're starting, you need to start with Nginx Ingress controller because it's quite basic in terms of understanding and to get it up. Once you're comfortable with it, then move on towards Istio service mesh, because Istio service mesh has lots of functionality out of the box, which Nginx Ingress controller does not have it. Describe the branching strategies that you have used for DevOps or so-called for your software development cycles, right? In order to tell this answer, you need to understand the strategy how the companies use. Most of the companies, for example, they have certain strategies. Like they have, for example, 3 branches, right? They have dev, stage, prod. If something else comes to prod, new feature, it should go from dev to stage, from stage to prod. But this is based on company to company. But the general answer for this kind of question would be you would be having 2 branches, for example, release branch and feature branch. What release branch does it is you check out, you create a new branch from the development, you do some kind of new shiny feature, then you push that feature. Once you push that feature and it gets merged to dev, you don't add any more new features into it. Of course, you can make a hot fixes, but no more new features. That's it on here. And there's a feature branching. What's Docker image and what's Docker container? As I explained, Docker image is used to build up the artifacts, containers, and the Docker container are used to run Zeus images on the servers on the cloud. The next one was Kubernetes and some of its components. I think I will be going quite fast here, guys, because we are running out of the time, as I noticed. It was Kubernetes and some of its components. So you need to understand what Kubernetes explain, for example, what port is, what service, what is network is. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Fadev, and thank you so much, Timofey. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. I learned so much. I think the overview of the tools also really helped. It was very detailed, and I liked how you touched points on the the interview questions, describing, how the questions will be asked, how to first approach it, to show your understanding of it. Oh, wow, we just lost Father, but I'm sure it will join back soon. That was really, really good. So thank you so much. I don't know, Timofey, can you join us on screen again with your video and audio, please? It's now time for the Q&A session. So we'll take a couple of questions. But just before we go into the questions that has been drafted, I wanted to ask you, Timofey, in your wealth of experience, I'm sure you've come across a challenging interview question, maybe when you were starting your career, or maybe at a point where you wanted to upscale or something. In that kind of scenario, can you give an example of one question that sort of threw you off balance, and how you were able to manage the situation and answer the question, like an interview question?
Okay, Kemi, thank you for the question. It's a tough one, actually. I think that in most cases, what you hear on the interview depends on the organization and the role you are applying at. So basically, if you're applying on some junior role, like junior DevOps engineer, you should be able to know the DevOps, I would say, philosophy, processes, and tools high level. And of course, if you are if you are going to join some organization as some senior DevOps person, I would say you would have to have all of the same, plus something very technical. And I think actually Firdaus just provided some good examples of really deep technical questions, and I think I liked the example with Docker, and the example with Kubernetes. And speaking about questions I've been asked, well, I can remember that in a certain, when I was trying to apply to a certain organization, I was asked what is the difference, I think, between Kubernetes and Docker Swarm. What is the difference between Kubernetes and Docker Swarm? This is an interesting question, in my opinion, because to a person who is into DevOps world, like not long ago, like recently, these two technologies are pretty much the same, right? Both deal with containers, so those are the tools for container orchestration. And I tried to understand what did the person who asked me that question mean. And I was trying to approach this question from the market perspective, right? And I think that in DevOps world, in DevOps market, Kubernetes is much more widely known and widely used technology than Docker Swarm. I don't know why, really, because I think because Kubernetes has more features, has more options, and it's more popular, right? So I asked this way, and apart from that, these two technologies are pretty much interchangeable. You can do both, but I think from the market perspective, the things are like this. So that's the example of some tricky question you might be asked or not. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Timofey. That was very good.
Welcome.
Further, I was just asking Timothy, one of the toughest interview questions is, experience and how he was able to manage it. Also, because we're also talking about,
Definitely.
interview questions. Yes. Okay, so we'll just take a couple of questions. We have about 4. So either of you can answer the questions. Oh, okay. So I see this person is just asking for the slides. So I don't know, would you be willing to share the slides? Okay, I think Timothy already did. Yes, okay, great. So that is fine. You can also share with me, and I can add it to the thank you email that I will share with everybody that's attended this event later on. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
sure. I think I will be sharing on my LinkedIn. You guys, I think, has my LinkedIn already, so you can download it from there.
Awesome. Great. So I already put the speaker's LinkedIn profile on the chat board. You can connect with them there. All right. Another question. Okay, this person was saying, okay, further, can you share the presentation? Also about the presentation. So I'm going to mark that as done. Marvin, your question was about Kubernetes, Terraform, and the likes, and I think we already handled that. You asked your question at the time when we were talking about the different career paths in DevOps, but now Friday has done justice to that. I really hope that you're satisfied with everything because it was really detailed. So I am going to also mark this as done because we already talked about it. Now, a question from Jean Paul. John is saying, I have good DevOps skills, but do not have years of experience. What do you advise I do? Which one of you would like to take that? Fedav or Timothy?
I think I can. So
yeah,
let
go
me
on.
let me start, and if further you have something to add, you might want to add a bit later. So that's a good question because the market is there is such problem in the market that if you are a junior like engineer, or you are going to start working as a junior engineer, you obviously don't have enough experience, right? And companies want engineers who have like a lot of experience and can start delivering value right away from day one. So this is the trickiest, I think, question for every IT person nowadays. And I think the answer to this is try, and try. You should really try applying a lot. You should apply just on every position. If you are not hired, you will be interviewed and you will receive valuable feedback from the HR person, from the interviewer, from the technical guy or girl who will interview you. And you will build like after some time, you will build your understanding what is needed, what hard skills, what soft skills are needed from you to be able to be hired on a certain position, right? So I would say this is the most difficult thing in IT, is to get into it while having zero experience, zero production experience, zero experience of working with real customer in real business, right? And you should just find the organization which is hiring junior or middle positions, and try to be hired as a junior DevOps engineer, and after some attempts, so if you can be, it can be frustrating for sure, and I can assure you that when I was applying as a DevOps guy some like 5, maybe 6 years ago, I received like maybe 100 of like letters saying that we are not ready to proceed with your candidate. And I asked, what should I have? What should I learn to be able to proceed? And people answered, you should learn this, this, and that. And I learned, and I tried again and again and again. And actually, Eventually, I was able to to get a job and develop. So you should try and never stop trying, and believe. You should believe in yourself, and I wish you best of luck.
Thank you very much. Fadeb, do you have anything to add to that? Where
Pretty much most of the, I'm agree with Timofey, most of the things that he mentioned. Of course, we have been there. I mean, no one jumps straight away as a senior position. We've been there as well. So I wish to the person to never lose the hope, because one day you will land that job regardless of what's there. But with DevOps, the only thing I kind of noticed that market is quite tight when it comes to junior DevOps, because as I mentioned, DevOps field in itself is quite extensive, and it needs the person needs to have lots of knowledge about the tech. That's why maybe it would be easier for them to go towards, I don't know, maybe as what do you call it, as a tester, for example, right into the company, or start as a software developer, then slowly switch to DevOps, because right away to join the company as a junior DevOps, I think I don't know about maybe big companies, they have some junior position, but as far as I know, like startups and the medium company size companies, uh, they don't quite hire for junior, because they first of all they do not have resources to train the junior person, which you all aware that is quite time consuming. That's why my advice would be try to something for software developer, because their goals to join as a junior software developer, then slowly move from software developer to DevOps. That way, it would be easy as well to understand the life cycle of software developer, then moving towards the DevOps.
Okay, thank you very much, Fadab. We are way behind schedule, so we might have to round up soon. I sincerely apologize. I see now that there are lots of questions coming in, but we have to let our speakers go at 6 minutes past the time we planned. So I sincerely apologize, but I will just take 4 more minutes, and at exactly 7:10 would end this. So this question will move as fast as possible. So this one I would ask to you, Timofey. But okay, so this is for Fadab actually, because this was about the overview of the tool. So Fadab, this person is saying, but there are so much tools, so much languages. It is a minefield. You take time to cross the field, but the companies aren't willing to wait for you to gain experience? I don't think this is a question. It's more like a comment. So I would say, I mean, just like everybody said, which is also answering John's question. These things happen. It takes time. It takes consistency. So whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. Don't get discouraged. And at the right time, somebody would bet on you and give you the opportunity. Also, startups are usually the ones that I know for sure, have like a lot of junior positions, junior levels. So if you've been applying to the big companies, you can consider the small ones as well. Try and grow with them, gain the experience, and grow from there. So this next question says, can you share more insight about system security or security networking knowledge needed for DevOps role? I think this is, I don't know if Deepak, can you reach out to the speakers directly and they can share these insights with you, because it will be a lot of time and we are way behind schedule right now. So please connect with the speakers. They will definitely put you through. Okay, so great. Timofey just even answered to you. Very great. Thank you so much, Timofey. The last one here is, oh no, not the last one, the second to the last one. From the job market perspective, what is the best choice in nowadays? What is the best choice nowadays? A certification in DevOps or Azure or AWS DevOps?
I think I already answered that in the chat as
Awesome.
well. I would recommend to first get some knowledge of like all kinds of public clouds, and then go deeper in the subject based on what you use more,
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an amazing time. I think the session was very, very insightful. It was very detailed. A very big thank you to our speakers. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today and share insights and your wealth of knowledge and experience with our users. We're super grateful, and we do hope that when next we call on you, you'd answer us and bless us with your time and your wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing
Thank
1 hour spent with you. We really do appreciate you. And to our lovely audience, thank you so much for the engagement, for the questions, for the messages, and also for interacting with us through the polls and the chat board. It's been an awesome 1 hour session. I wish you all the best. Keep applying. Don't stop now, and do try to connect with our speakers as much as you can. Reach out to them, let them mentor you, let them talk to you. They've lived it, they're living it, so they're the best persons to help you with the information that you need. And also, don't forget to join our amazing community. We have more people like you that you can connect with and also learn from. I have shared the link in the chat. Click on it, join us. Would love to have you. Thank you so much, guys. And I would say it is a wrap from here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.